Got a lot of email today congratulating me. Apparently, I won the Republican candidacy for lieutenant governor of the great state of Texas. Got my picture on the local news in Houston. Not one, but two TV stations had my picture up saying that I had won. And then I realized that, as the Texas state senator, I'm not that Dan Patrick, but that Dan Patrick joins us now. Dan, congratulations on the nomination there.
Thanks, Dan. You ran a heck of a campaign, is all I have to say.
Okay. Did you see my picture on the local news?
I did. In fact, Dan, a couple of years ago, someone was trying to get my attention and sent me a photo saying, Senator Patrick, I need to speak with you about this important issue, and it was your photograph on the card they sent.
I get your email all the time, though. And they're angry at you, and then I don't know how to respond. So I was going to respond on your behalf, but I'll get people who want to question, my politics and Tea Party and religion in school, and just so I don't respond. So do you get people who think that, they think that you're me?
Yes, in fact, Dan, and I don't know that in fact, I know you won't recall this, but you and I met at a Super Bowl. I started out in television. I'm a few years older than you are, about, I think, 7 or 8 years older, and I was a sportscaster at WNEP TV in 1977 in Scranton. And then I went to Washington, D.C., where I knew Nick Charles, who you later, I think, worked with. And I think you started out in Springfield. And then I went to I'm sorry for the truck coming by. Then I went to KHOU in Houston. So I was a television sports anchor from 77 to 84. Then I did sports talk radio for years. So we met at a Super Bowl once, and I just said, hey, are you Dan Patrick? And you said, yes. I said, I'm Dan Patrick. But what's interesting, I went out on an aircraft carrier on a mission trip and with Spencer Tillman. And Spencer from Houston, of course, and we landed on the carrier, and all these sailors, they announced, Spencer Tillman and Dan Patrick. And, of course, they thought it was you because Spencer Tillman was there, too, and they were so disappointed. And then I was in Las Vegas one time, and I came out of the hotel, and I called down for a car. And I came out, and I said, hi, I'm Dan Patrick. Is there a car? And there were like 200 guys, your audience, your guy, your demo. They were all there. Because they had heard Dan Patrick's coming out to get in this car. And I've gotten good seats I'll call airlines to get a seat. Is this the Dan Patrick? My husband watches you all the time. Dan, I have done well living in your shadow. I'm very excited to have your name.
Yeah, I haven't been able to cash in on your name, though.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Maybe now moving forward. Maybe now.
Okay, so you're the Republican. You're the lieutenant governor in waiting, I guess, is what. Are you calling your shot? You will be the lieutenant governor of Texas?
I believe we will. We're a Republican state, and we haven't had a Democrat win a statewide election since 1994. I don't plan for that to happen this time. We have of course, Governor Perry is our governor. Many people know Governor Perry from running for president, may run again, but he stepped down. So we have a new governor nominee, new lieutenant governor nominee, and myself, and then an entire slate. This is a change out of election, and so we're really excited. We have a 17-point lead on our Democrat opponent. We'll run hard. We'll win. We started this race last year. I've been in the Senate since '07. I left sports talk in '92. I own a radio station in Houston, KSEB, and I own one in Dallas. And I decided, Dan, the only way I could stay in this business on air was to buy a station to employ me. And it's worked out well for my career. And so I switched over to political talk in the early 90s. I put Rush Limbaugh on in Houston 1988. And so I switched from sports. I love sports. I grew up in Baltimore. I was a bat boy for a day when I was back in the 60s. And in Baltimore, and I still love my Baltimore Colts, and I love my Houston Texans, and I came here again at a great time in Houston. I came here in '79 from WTTG. In fact, Al Roker and I started the same day. They hired the two young, cheap guys out of small markets. They hired Al out of Syracuse and me out of Scranton in 1977, I guess it was, or '78. I was only there 6 months and went to D.C. with Al. I don't know whatever happened to his career. I thought he was talented, but I'm not sure. And then I came to Houston, and it was Love You Blue. It was Bum Phillips, and it was just a great ride with that team. And Houston's been a great sport. Nolan Ryan, and we had Akeem Olajuwon. I mean, we've had all these famous 34s, Akeem and Earl and Nolan Ryan, and it was a great time. When I was in D.C., the Bullets won the championship that year, and So it was a great ride. I loved it. But I just got to the point where I started focusing on politics in the 90s, and I've been doing talk radio since then. I ran for the Senate in 07.
Well, what is
that
crazy?
bores all your listeners to tears. But
What you are a politician. Let me interrupt here, Dan.
Yes, sorry.
What's crazier, though? Political talk or sports talk? More intense.
Well, political talk is more intense. You know, sports is very important. It's a lot of fun. It's so important for people. What I love about sports is that it defines us who we are as a people. We're a competitive nature in everything we do in America. We like to beat the other guy. And politics is a little bit like sports in this regard. You know, if you're in the AFL, not the AFL. If you're in the what am I thinking? The NFL, the two divisions.
AFC.
AFC. If you're in the AFC, you're trying to beat every other AFC team. But when it comes to the Super Bowl, you all come together for that team to beat the NFC. Well, in politics, we had a pretty rugged primary, as we do on the Republican side, but we all come together to beat the Democrats. So it's a little bit like sports in that regard. But, you know, what I love about sports is the lessons it teach you in life. And for so many young men, as you know, Dan, growing up, and particularly in our inner cities, their coaches become father figures to them. It's who they look up to. This relationship that men have with their coaches long after they've played for that coach in high school or in the pros. Sports is so important. It really is important. It's a game at the end of the day. It doesn't compare to our men and women who are the real heroes serving overseas, but it really is important. It defines who we are as a nation. You know, I was honored to speak at Bum Phillips' funeral. He and I were very, very close, like a father figure to me. And in fact, if you ever want to read a great book, Dan, it's called Coach Cowboy Christian. He was
kids in this time.
Hero in World War II, and people didn't even know about it. His players didn't even know he served in World War II, like so many of our great veterans never talked about it. He was like a forerunner of the Green Beret, and but I was the only non-player who spoke at his funeral. And players, Dan, came from all over the country this year to come to his funeral, and they loved him like a father. And so our sports are so important when it teaches kids to compete. I'm not one of these guys who thinks everyone should get a trophy. I think there is you win, you deserve to be rewarded, and you lose, you need to get better. But I love sports, and they're alike a little bit. Last night was a little bit of it was the championship game for me. Now I'm on to the Super Bowl in November.
All right. Well, good luck. And
hey, thank you, Dan. It's been a real pleasure to be on with you. When we saw that picture last night, I said we need to send it to Dan, make sure he sees that. And if you ever get to Houston in an event or Texas, I know you'll be in Jim Nance and I hired Jim Nance to his first job in television, and when I won my primary in March, was a runoff last night. Jim sent me a very nice note. He's just, as you know, a terrific guy. As I don't know you, but everything I hear about you the same way.
I would like to have a motorcade, though, if I came in, though. Is that...
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll see if I can arrange that. There may only be 2 cars, and they may be used cars.
That's all right.
But I can get you like a 68 convertible.
I've
got
no
a
problem with
68
that.
convertible.
All right. Dan,
thanks, Dan.
Congrats and good luck.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
All right. That's the Texas State Senator running for Lieutenant Governor.